How do you guys do it? 9 to 5 job, school, gym, and...
Oh my gosh. You guys don't know how much of a struggle it is to live in Canada.
Living in Canada is extremely tough and it is super hard to get ahead.
Here's how I afford to live in Toronto as a 28-year-old by myself.
Let me tell you, I am done. I am done.
Dad, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Canada is one very expensive country to live in these days.
Welcome back to Canadian Rant, the only place in this country where we say the quiet parts out loud. Alright Canada, what the hell is going on? When did just leaving the house start costing half your paycheck? Groceries? Insane. Gas? Don't even ask. Rent? Might as well sell a kidney. And somehow we're supposed to pretend this is normal? Everyone keeps saying, just budget better. Yeah, okay. I'll budget myself right into the poorhouse. So today, we're calling it out. Why is life in Canada becoming unaffordable for the very people who built this place? Let's break it down, because enough is enough.
Canada is one very expensive country to live in these days. I don't know how you guys are doing it, quite honestly. Between housing, groceries, car insurance, you name it, it is crazy here. And I talk about it quite a bit. So I am curious, who is leaving in 2026?
I am in my 30s living in Canada, and let me tell you, I am done. I am done with everyone lying to us. And let me know if you have been sold this lie too. Because let's face it, I'm in my early 30s living in Canada, and it doesn't matter which job I get. It doesn't matter how many promotions I will get. One income is not enough. It is not enough to live the lifestyle I want. Let's face it, we have been sold a lie. We have been sold a lie. Last time I checked, my groceries keep going up. They keep going up every month. Every time I go to the grocery store, I'm like, how are people affording food right now? It's insane. It is insane. Groceries are going up. Rent keeps going up. My salary doesn't really move. My salary doesn't go up. I grew up told repeatedly, go to school, get a good job, get good grades, and you will have success. You will retire. I can't, what? I have the job. I can't retire. This doesn't make sense. And I figured this out. This is why I started listening to more people that were like me, because let me tell you, people around me think I'm crazy. They think I've lost the plot. But it's not adding up. And it's not because I am going out here spending $7 on a Starbucks coffee, because that $7 is not the reason why I can't keep up. The reason why we can't keep up is because inflation has taken over. Let me know if you've also been sold this lie, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it more. I want to talk to more people who feel like me, because I am getting tired of this. I am getting tired of this.
Everyone thinks Toronto's expensive because of the rent, but in reality, rent's just part of the issue. You need to budget for groceries. Phone plans are some of the highest in the world. Going out with friends is not cheap. My advice is this: review what you spend every month. See where you need to make cuts. And accordingly, try and save as much as you can. That's my advice. It's an expensive city. Follow for more.
Since when do you need to make 6 figures in Canada in order to afford flu medicine? So I go to Shoppers Drug Mart just to buy Dayquil or Tylenol cold and sinus. $174 later, this is what I bought. This is what got me almost $200 worth of medicine. I'll show it to you. Let's go through this list, shall we? Dayquil, $25 for this. Herb remedy stuff that I like to drink because it does work, $12. $10 for lemon ginger tea. Neocitrin, $20. Got some of these. They were $10. Lozenges. Then I got a bunch of other vitamin C, honey, some other stuff in here for my throat. Cheers. Oh God. What is Canada coming to, honestly? I don't even know anymore. Now, do we need to make 6 figures in Canada to own a house? We also need it in order to not get sick or to cure the flu.
How do you guys do it? 9 to 5 job, school, gym, and I don't know, like just finished my 9 to 5, finished the gym. Now I'm going back home. I'm gonna study for school, and now I'm filming TikTok, and I don't know. How do you guys really do it? Like, who else like struggling? Like, how can you find and manage time in Canada? You have to sleep early to wake up early for your job and repeat all over again. It's getting difficult, and working it's already another story. Like, you work, and your paycheck, it doesn't really cover anything. Living expenses in Canada is getting ridiculous, and I don't know. It's just too hard. I find it very, very hard. Who else like is struggling? Like, how do you guys manage your time? Seriously.
The way things are tight in Canada right now. I know I used to preach, go outside, but outside is so expensive. Even me, I'm no longer going outside again. The money that I budgeted for summer I said outside all summer. The money has finished though. Now I'm inside though. Yesterday, $500 gone, $300 gone. I'm no longer outside again. So if you see me inside, I'll just be watching the videos when I was outside. I'll use that one to hold my body at least.
Canada didn't lose its housing market by accident. It was sold off piece by piece to Chinese investors while politicians smiled for the cameras and told regular people to budget better. Budget better, Canadians. Come on, budget better. Foreign investing is making our country rich. Remember that? If you don't buy now, you'll never own anything ever again. You'll be bought out of the market for life. The Chinese laundered $2.4 to $2.6 trillion in Canadian real estate from January 2020 to March 2024. StatsCan just confirmed what everyone knows or feels in their gut. Investors captured nearly 75% of housing ownership growth. That means 3 out of 4 new homes didn't go to Canadian families. They went to portfolios. Let that sink in. Mortgage arrears are now up, 63, 64%, the highest since 2020. People are drowning, not overspending. And what does Ottawa do? Cuts the housing budget by 56% and quietly defunds the CMHC. During the worst affordability crisis in Canadian history, you can't make this stuff up. Toronto prices down 25% from peak because of the oversupply and Canadians don't have money to get into their own markets. Vancouver inventory at a 13-year high. The bubble is cracking, but renters are still getting crushed because investors control the supply and the artificial shortages. And now the banks admit inflation numbers are overstated rent growth, meaning rates may have stayed higher than necessary while households bled dry. Meanwhile, job numbers are being padded on paper while real jobs disappear in reality. The private sector versus public sector. This is what selling your country looks like. Homes turned into assets, families turned into tenants, workers turned into debt hostages. Canada wasn't invaded, it was auctioned to the highest CCP launderers, creating artificial shortages and bidding wars. Remember that? And everyday Canadians could never compete. Oh, wait. We got first-time homebuyer loans. Pay back with interest. Remember that? It was a trap. Why do you think the federal government thought it was a good idea to bring in 4 million Indians since 2020? To fix Canada's biggest moneymaker, its real estate. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.
Guess how much it cost to move my family from British Columbia to Nova Scotia? My husband was offered a job opportunity that we couldn't say no to, so we decided that we were going to move from one side of Canada to the other. Now, we had exhausted every option to see what was the least expensive option to move across the country. Of course, that came to also the option that was the most work. That was renting a U-Haul and trucking it all through the provinces of Canada. To do this, we needed help, so my lovely in-laws volunteered a whole week of their lives to help us move everything. Let's get into expenses. The U-Haul itself cost $5,228.23. The next expense was gas. We paid for gassing up the U-Haul itself and also our own vehicle, which is an SUV. The total of that came to $3,119.89. Next was accommodations. We tried our best to pick the cheapest options every time we stayed somewhere. However, hotels, motels, what can you do? They're really pricey. Plus, we had to room 4 adults, a child, and 2 dogs. The total of that came to $2,352.70. And lastly was meals. Now, we made sure that every accommodation we had a complimentary breakfast, so that was included in our accommodations. Our lunches consisted of fast food restaurants like McDonald's, A&W, Tim Hortons. But our dinners was the most expensive, as it was also the biggest meal we ate on our trip. The total of that came to $525.35. Bringing our grand total to $11,226.17. This may sound like a lot, but it was also the cheapest option for us to move across the country. Let me know if you'd move for that much.
Here's how I afford to live in Toronto as a 28-year-old by myself. Been a little while since I've done like a financial video talking about my finances and living in Toronto, and probably since I wasn't even living on my own, and now I am living on my own and I'm able to do it. So here's how I do it. Big one for me is not being a big drinker. I know that when I do drink and when I do go out, it can be an expensive night. Kind of just cutting that aspect of going out has been like a big game changer. Cocktail downtown can run you like $20 to $30. So being able to cut that out entirely, have a DC, have a Coke Zero, keep it simple, keep it sweet. You do want to drink, hit happy hour. That's another thing that has helped a lot is having happy hour dinners with the girls instead of your regular dinner. I like to call it the senior citizens dinner because it's so early. But if you hit a restaurant from 3 to 6, 3 to 7 p.m., you can feed yourself for pretty cheap and have the bill be like under $30. That's a hack. Also just surrounding yourself with like-minded people who also don't want to spend an arm and a leg when they go out. And on that same vein, only eating out when I'm with people, when I'm socializing. So that means no Uber Eats, no DoorDash. It does mean you're inconvenienced a lot. Yeah, when it's a snowstorm outside, do I really want to go out and get my groceries? No, it'd be nice if I could DoorDash it, but that's going to add like another $15, $20 on top of the grocery bill already. It's, you take what you can get. I'd rather live alone and be inconvenienced in that way. Do you know what I mean? Never taking an Uber. I very, very rarely take an Uber. My only caveat to that is I will take an Uber if it's like after 9 p.m. and I'm not close to home, because as much as this city is expensive, it's also really dangerous. Again, it's another inconvenience, but I think being type A and being anal about being organized and being organized does help in those situations, because I'm planning for the fact that I am going to have to walk and it's going to take extra time. Do you know what I mean? My last tip would be just to shop around for everything. If you have a phone plan, you're paying $80, that's too much. That is too much. Go shop around. Go find somewhere cheaper. There is cheaper. There's always cheaper. If you're paying $100 for your internet, go shop around. I can promise you it's cheaper. I pay $50 for my internet. I pay $30 for my phone. It can be cheaper. You just have to work for it. So these tips are legit. I don't make $150,000 a year. I am a freelancer. My money is limited. I just choose to spend what little money I do have on living alone because that's protecting my peace. But it can be done. It can be done.
Car repairs in Canada are stupid expensive, like absolutely ridiculous, to the point where a lot of people can't even afford to repair their vehicles, right? And in Canada, we need vehicles because public transportation is for shit, quite frankly, with the exception of maybe 3 cities. And the vast majority of people rely on their vehicle in order to get to and from work, right? Or to go anywhere for that matter, just by the geographic size of our country. And the problem here is that, like, I went to a body shop this morning because I wanted to get a couple of rust spots patched on my car. I thought, okay, well, listen, I don't want this to get out of control. There's just a couple of little spots here. I want to try and have it addressed. They were telling me that I needed to cut out chunks of the frame of the car and have those replaced and then repaint the whole car and all of this kind of crap. And I'm like, no. I don't want to do that. I just want this to be sanded down, buffed, painted, buffed again, done, right? A few little spots here and there. They were quoting me $6,000 for this. Absolutely insane. Now, whereas this time last year, that would have stressed the shit out of me and I wouldn't have been able to afford it. And I would have just been like, okay, thank you very much. And away I go. And I'm just going to let my car rust to hell. Now I said no, but more on principle because I knew they were trying to gouge me and that just pissed me off. Right. So I will go somewhere else and I'll find, someone who can do the job for cheaper. But it didn't stress me the way that it would have last year, where I would be looking at, oh my God, now I've got to get rid of my car. I've got to buy another car. How am I going to do this? Because, it doesn't, none of that crossed my mind this time because I'm in a situation whereby I've started my own online business and I'm generating an income, a second income through that. Whereas last year, I was solely reliant on my 9-to-5. And while, I was making okay money, it was not keeping up with the cost of living. The cost of living is through the roof. Case in point, car repairs, right? If I had gone to try and get the same job done 5 years ago and they were trying to gouge me, probably $2,000. Now they're trying to gouge me at $6,000. Like, it's insane. It's insane. But the point here is that you don't have to be a slave to people who are trying to gouge you or drive prices up for everything and just see what they can get away with so that the next sucker that comes along, they're going to charge $7,000. You don't have to be in that situation. You can tell them to go and fuck off, and that's completely fine because you can have a second stream of income that gives you the flexibility to do pretty much whatever you want. Buy a new car, get rid of your car, fix your car, but get somebody else to do it, whatever. But you don't have to be a slave to charlatans. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are in that situation because they have no other choice. They need to get their cars fixed. They need to get their property fixed. They need to get their house fixed. Whatever it happens to be. And everybody is out to screw everybody else, right? You're like, well, cost of living goes up. I need to, put money in my boat. I need to put gas in my boat. So I'm going to charge them an extra $2,000 just for fun. Right. Unfortunately, that is the state of affairs. And the more that this carries on, the more prices just go up and up and up. And the government's not doing fuck all about it other than tinkering with interest rates, which really doesn't do anything other than fuck the middle class. So ultimately, what I'm saying here is that if you want to figure out a way that you can be your own boss, you can be in control of your own destiny, you're not a slave to charlatans.
Living in Canada isn't just hard anymore, it's becoming impossible. And the craziest part? Canadians are still waking up every morning, putting their boots on, going to work, and trying to hold this whole thing together. But here's the part that keeps hitting people like a punch to the stomach. You can do everything right. Get an education, work full-time, budget, sacrifice, save, and somehow you're still falling behind. That's not laziness. That's not mismanagement. That's a broken system choking the life out of the people who make this country run. Let's look around for a second. You walk into a grocery store and you're paying luxury prices for basic food. A bag of lettuce costs more than a takeout meal used to. Chicken is a payday decision. Milk feels like a mortgage payment. Gas. You don't fill the tank anymore. You put in what you can afford and hope you make it to next week. Rent? Good luck if you're not already grandfathered in. One-bedroom apartments in normal working communities are priced like downtown penthouses. Families packing into small spaces, adults moving back home, roommates in their 30s and 40s, not because they want to, but because Canada no longer gives them a choice. And don't get me started on taxes and fees. carbon tax, transit tax, sales tax, income tax, property tax, hidden fees on top of hidden fees, all landing on people who are literally asking for nothing more than a fair shot. Canadians shouldn't have to apologize for being angry. We shouldn't be told to tighten our belts when the belt has already cut through skin and bone. We shouldn't be gaslit into thinking struggling is a personal failure. Because here's the reality. Canadians are stretching every dollar, cutting back on everything. Restaurants, outings, kids' sports, vacations, even heating homes. Not because they want to, but because they can't keep up. And somehow we're expected to smile, tip 20%, pay more every month, and say thank you. No, not anymore. This is the moment where Canadians stop whispering about it and start shouting. If you feel this pressure, you're not alone. If you feel exhausted just by existing outside your house, you're not imagining it. If you're tired of being squeezed dry, you are one of millions. And if we stay quiet, they'll keep pushing until there's nothing left to push. So if any part of this hit you in the gut, like comment, share, speak up, and don't apologize for it. Because silence is how we lost the country we used to believe in, and honesty might be how we win it back. Canada's not broken because of the people, it's broken in spite of them. We deserve better, and it starts right here, with voices like yours refusing to sit down anymore.